to soar like eagles with divine strength. It's hard, isn't it, to sum up the collective mood of a nation. In truth, there are probably various fragmented moods, ranging from anxiety to frustration to just sheer fatigue of this relentless COVID universe that we all now inhabit. Whether you doubt the threat of coronavirus or maybe you've had it knock close to your own door, the chances are, like me, you are fed up with it and wish it would all just go away. Yet this is where the problem lies. There is no end in sight. There is no light at the end of the tunnel where normality may return. We are all tired, aren't we, of social distancing? Our hands are stinging with disinfectant. We are starved of social stimulus and we're struggling with mental and emotional health. We are all living through loss of some kind or another. It reminds me of the great prophet Isaiah. He had his finger on the pulse of the national mood in his day, and it was one of tired complaint. And I think it's quite similar to the mood of our nation right now. He says this, why do you complain? Why do you say, my way is hidden from the Lord, my cause is disregarded by my God? Perhaps that is a thought that has crossed your mind, or a prayer that has moved from your past or been uttered from your lips. Why us, God? Why give us 2020? Has God forgotten or not noticed our plight? Is he ignoring us? Can he not see what is going on? Look at all the devastation about us. Has he not even noticed that this invisible virus has turned our world upside down? Does he not even care that the world's economies are on their knees? Has he no compassion for those suffering from poor mental health or from spiraling into addictions? Does he shed no tears for those who die from COVID alone? Has he no thought for the elderly and the vulnerable? As part of the prophet's response, he reminds us of some home truths. He's already mentioned that all men are like grass. The grass withers and the flowers fail, but the word of the Lord endures forever. He says then in verse 30, even youths grow weary and tired, and young men stumble and fall. There is perhaps some comfort in realizing that we're not alone. Even young men in their prime grow tired. I don't include myself in that category anymore, sadly. But even Olympians stumble and fall through exhaustion at some point. And these have been testing times, haven't they? Perhaps weariness is common enough response to this daily bombardment of news feeds that we find ourselves trapped in. For many of us, this same old town, this same old virus constraints can really get you down. Most of us just want life to return to the way it was. Perhaps this is a shake-up by God to expose our illusion of self-sufficiency. Perhaps we don't have to have all the answers. What if weariness has the potential to set us free to be dependent creatures again? If being dependent is meant to set us free, who can we depend on? Natural strength is unreliable and fleeting. All human help, even well-meaning help, is fallible. Listen to those hope-giving words of Isaiah. He says this, God gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. That's comforting that God claims to give strength where it's needed. Perhaps the most natural question we could ask is, how do we get that power? How do we tap into it? Is it just admitting that we're weary and need a helping hand? Or is it that simple, a dose of humility? Or is it more than that? He goes on in verse 31, he says, those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Here Isaiah expands on the possibilities and outcomes of tapping into this power source. When we hope or wait in the Lord, trust in him, rest in him, he will renew our strength so that we may fly like an eagle. Maybe that's a bit like that Red Bull ad, that it gives you wings. Or we can run perhaps it's like running like Forrest Gump, or walking like one of those Duracell bunnies. He's not minimizing our genuine struggles or fatigue, but he's offering real life solutions, real tangible help. This divine strength can renew us, can re-energize us to soar like an eagle, to glide effortlessly through the storms of life with God's divine strength and not our own. You may look inside for energy reserves, but you'll not find that much. Only God can renew our strength. Only God can provide the resources we need to face this life, because that's the way He's designed it. Yet as usual, when God gives something, He does it abundantly and generously. When He renews our strength, we will soar like eagles. We will run and not grow weary. We'll walk and not be faint, despite our circumstances. What a tonic that is. Someone has said that there is a new kind of life that comes to him who waits on the Lord, where we are born on wings of faith and hope. And certainly that's the life I want to live. A valid question comes then, of course, is who is it that gives such strength, and who is He? It either depends on who you think God is, or maybe it depends more on who God actually is. You see, there's a repeated chorus that goes through the passage of Isaiah chapter 40. It says, "Do you not know? Have you not heard?" And then He says this, "The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and His understanding no one can fathom." The reason God can help us with divine strength is because He is the creator of everything. He's the everlasting God who never slumbers nor sleeps, and His understanding is unfathomable. It's all-encompassing. I know it takes a degree of humility to ask for help from anyone. In fact, we often only ask for help from people that we think have more knowledge than us or have better resources than us. The invitation of power is available, I would suggest, only to those who admit that they are weak. You see, the beginning of freedom starts with honesty. A life liberated begins with admission of our limitations. There is no shame in admitting we are weak. It's okay to not be okay. In fact, it's the launch pad to flying like an eagle. You might say, "I'm not sure I trust God enough to be dependent on Him." Fair enough. And you might say, "Look, religion has been so hypocritical, and God's name has been tarnished from so many things that I hear about Him, and people that are said to represent Him." But you, like me, need to discover the reliability of God for yourself, one baby footstep at a time. Suffice to say, there's one massive clue in the whole of the scriptures that proclaim, that declare, that prove that God is trustworthy. And it was in His willingness to become weak so that we can be strong. And it's in that focal point of the scripture where Jesus suffered and died on a cruel cross so that He could reach you and me, and actually to save us from ourselves. Our independent streak is merely a poorly disguised defiance against God, because we want to be in charge. We want to be the boss. Effectively, we want to be God. But Jesus came to set us free from the sin that entangles us. Instead, He calls us to fix our eyes on Him. Perhaps it's possible that God is shaking up your life and mine so that we place our confidence in God alone. And in turn, we may soar like eagles, gliding effortlessly past Eagle's Rock to new heights. I'm your host, Matt Tuttleby of Bundoran Bible Reflections. God bless you today.